Hi, everyone. I'm Afton Brazzoni, and we're back this month with the Changemaker Conversations interview series. I'm excited to be here today with Kobe Tang. He is the general manager at Refer HR, which is a really exciting new referral platform that matches high quality candidates with great job opportunities. So thank you for joining me today, Kobe.
Thanks for having me, Afton. It's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, I always like to hand it right over to you to
Great.
really tell everybody, what Refer HR is,
Mhm.
why it's sort of so revolutionary in the industry, and of course, a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure. So Refer HR, we're a new Vancouver startup in Vancouver, Canada, and we've been around for roughly over a year now. And when I joined on, it was primarily just me and my founder, and he's actually located in Hong Kong. And when I joined, it was pretty much just a proof of concept, an idea that he had. And with me working in the recruitment space as both a sales account executive and a recruiter for the last 3 to 4 years, I was able to kind of see the idea, see what it really was, and kind of also um, believe that it's something that the industry needs and something that the industry doesn't really have right now. And what that is a referral based job board platform, similar to kind of a platform that you would expect when you come for a job board, right? You'd expect it to be able to um, post jobs as an employer, to kind of list off your company details and for job seekers to come in and apply directly. We've kind of added a little twist to it, with my experience and Billy's experience. His name's Billy. um, we've realized that essentially referrals are the way to go. Generally, they have the best return on investment. They're faster to hire, and also like they retain much more as well. So we've decided to kind of create a platform that incentivizes recruitment that focuses on referrals, people referring their network, people referring their friends, and they just generally have a better time with that. And uh, and then we've created incentives that kind of fall into all the different types of users on our platform, from job seekers to employers and referrers. And I'd love to kind of get into what those incentives are shortly for the other questions. But a little bit of background about myself. I actually I'm originally from Ontario. It's funny how I got into this industry because I didn't really study or go to school for recruitment or HR. I think a lot of people in this industry that become recruiters generally come from another industry or education. Nobody really, studies and thinks they're going to be a recruiter or being in this space because it's not something that I really knew about initially from going to school. I actually went to school for tourism and travel, and my
Oh,
idea was
wow.
really just wanting to travel the world and see different things. And growing up in Ottawa and getting into the travel space, I was like, okay, I want to be a flight attendant or something like that. So after I graduated, it was funny because I started applying to different airlines, and I uh, I realized shortly after getting interviews, with Ottawa being such a bilingual city, they're like, "Hey, do you speak French?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't." So I think that was partly the reason why I never really went any further with that. I was after 2 years of studying, I was like, "Ah, damn, I never really thought about that, especially in Ottawa. I might need to move away." And then somehow one day I got a job opportunity to start off as a recruiter, and I didn't know anything about it, but then I started interviewing for. I got the job, and right away it was such a cool opportunity to really realize that there's this whole industry of recruitment and you're able to help all these different people. And it is a little competitive for some, because it's not essentially just internal HR, but you're doing hiring for your clients, your other companies, right? So you're competing against other recruitment firms. So it's a bit of being able to connect with candidates, but also understanding that it is a competitive environment. So you kind of have that sales side to you. So I was able to excel in it, and from there, my team was creating, or my company was creating a branch out in Vancouver, and they offered the opportunity for me to move out here and kind of expand on that. So I was surprisingly able to completely move everything from Ontario to Vancouver by myself. And from there, I just kind of, excelled in it. And that's when I started, getting the experience that I've wanted, within the industry as a salesperson and recruiting. And then that's where Billy comes in. And it's awesome because I've always wanted to work for a startup, right? Like working with these industries, you're working with, structured companies like ICBC, like health authorities, like, all that stuff. But you also work with startup companies. And I like the appeal of startup companies and being able to kind of be the difference maker, because it's such a small team, and kind of sharing your ideas, and seeing that actually being implemented, where it's a little tougher with larger companies. You have to be a little further up in the standings in the chain. So I joined Refer HR because, one, I believed in the industry and kind of what we needed to help everybody, and I loved the idea, right? So Billy was able to kind of come in and provide that opportunity for me, and ever since then, it's been awesome working with him, and it's such a unique startup experience, because as the only person on the ground in Canada, because he's in Hong Kong, I'm kind of tasked with all these different roles, right? Like right now, my title is general manager, and I guess as a general manager, you're kind of not only just doing the business development and working with your team, but you're also trying to do whatever comes up, right? So as it happened throughout the year when we were developing the platform, I'm working with the developers, coming up with ideas, and then sometimes we have an animation that we want to create, and so I'm just creating a storyboard, which I've never created before, and creating a script, and getting that completed. So every week was a little different, and it's just really good experience to be able to see do all these different tasks rather than just being a recruiter or an account executive. It's pretty cool and awesome to see what it's like to be a startup, and working from the ground up and seeing where it's gone, right? So that's kind of a brief introduction to who I am, how I got here, and a little bit about Refer HR in general. Yeah.
Well, I love that story. I think working with a startup, everything you've said, it totally resonates with me. There's so
Hmm.
much more opportunity to affect change. Obviously, you and Billy see that gap that there is in the recruiting market, and you guys are
Right.
filling that. So, yeah, I think that's super, super cool. And also, it's funny that you mentioned the travel thing, because I totally had a similar experience where I was
Yeah.
like, I would love to be a flight attendant, but I don't speak French.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
I also love travel and I love Vancouver. So I'm jealous that you are living there.
Hmm. Awesome.
Now, we talked a little bit about that. The Refer HR was started because you really did see kind of an opportunity to enhance the recruitment process
Right.
for
Yeah.
everybody who's involved in it, really. And so I'd love to kind of hear about, like, what are some of the biggest challenges that you are seeing, either tech companies or
Yeah.
other industries too,
Hmm.
facing when it comes to hiring?
So yeah, like primarily with Refer HR, we actually want to target startup companies because they actually have the most challenges with recruitment. And one of the things because of that is companies that are startups generally don't have a HR team. They generally don't have, that recruitment ability, or specialized person that has all the know-how to create a job posting, know how to look at a resume, and kind of go through the interview process and the screening process. So that's one of the first problems that a lot of these companies have. And generally when you're creating a startup, that's not the first role you're hiring for. And so a lot of these companies don't actually know what to hire first, whether it be a marketer, a HR person, a technical team. So that's one of the problems. First problems. I think that another problem is kind of the amount of when they do have an idea of who they want to hire and the positions that they need, the fees do build up for different job postings that they put up, right? So whether they want to sponsor or not, because I know some companies charge per post or per click or per day. So they generally start building up the price. And if the employer decides to post it on multiple different platforms, then that builds up even more because a lot of employers or candidates generally apply on multiple websites as well. So to kind of capture the whole candidate pool, they do post on multiple, and the prices do add up. And the third problem I see as well is, especially in the tech pool, that there's a small pool of candidates that have the relevant skill set, and generally, with where things are going in our society, with tech startups being super popular, it's also very competitive, right? So a lot of younger new grads and millennials are now trying to join startups, and especially tech startups, because that's where the best opportunities are. So generally, it's very competitive to kind of find a candidate that you can actually meet their salary expectations or beat the other company at. So that's one of the issues here. And obviously, when you're competing with a larger company like ICBC or Lululemon, they generally have the budget to offer these candidates the salary that they want, right? So those are primarily the 3 to 4 main challenges I see in terms of either tech companies or just startup companies in general. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, that's tough because going back to the first challenge, if they're not really sure what they're looking for,
Hmm.
and then, these costs are adding up as they post on these job boards, but they don't really have a chance to actually get guidance from anyone.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
they're trying to meet these salary expectations. I can see how that would be really problematic.
Hmm. Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and so obviously, we have done some work with you guys and are
Mhm.
familiar with Refer HR and the value that you're offering. So I'd love to kind of hear about how you overcome those things and like what are
Right.
some of the tips that you would suggest to people to ensure that they don't get into that situation when they're trying to hire for their
Yeah,
tech.
for sure. I think the first thing that I think a lot of startups should approach with first is generally there's a huge startup community, right? Everybody's um, now experience with working with a startup or starting a startup themselves, and there's a huge community of Slack communities, forums, that you could actually reach out to, and networking events to kind of get those suggestions on, hey, I'm starting a startup here, do you have any advice on that? Because yeah, everybody's trying to help each other, everybody helps each other, and it creates this whole community of startup leaders that will support each other and work together and potentially partner up as well. um, Another thing that a lot of these startups can do is work with a startup accelerator or incubator. Refer HR, we were actually we began through a startup incubator as well, right? With Billy being in Hong Kong, it's tough to get all the know-how within actually the industry in Canada. So these startup incubators help, identify whether this is a good idea or if there's a market or if this is really competitive or not. So they could kind of give that advice and suggestions. Um, so that's the first thing, just working with local startups, joining Slack channels, because even now I work with a lot of Slack channels and ask, hey, what should I do here? What should I do there? Because I'm not the startup expert myself. So I was able to get a lot of these um, great points from them. I think another thing in terms of the matter in terms of fees building up for job postings, I think the issue there is the fees will build up even if you don't have a successful placement, right? Let's say you have your position on this website for a month and a half, and you've been interviewing, but there hasn't been any candidate that you really like. But while this whole thing is happening, you're paying, you're building up these fees. So my suggestion here is really there's platforms out there where they do a successful placement fee, I guess. So they don't actually pay until they've made the successful placement. So for example, our Refer HR platform, we don't charge the clients any transactions or any placement fees until the candidate is successfully hired onto your platform. And that kind of alleviates that risk of, paying as you're trying to recruit. We want to provide that free advertising for your position, and that you don't need to worry about it until you find that candidate. So that's another one. Besides Refer HR, I know there are other companies that follow that same guideline as well in terms of paying after the placement. So keep an eye out for that, and we are one of them. And I think the third one is really, with candidates with higher salary expectations, obviously there's no wraparound in terms of trying to find extra money to pay that star employee, right? But like there are opportunities to offer different incentives for them, whether that be flexible work hours, remote work hours. And I know a lot more young people now like to work from home and have that flexibility and have that additional time to spend with their friends and family. So offer them that would be a great idea. Another thing as well is with startups, I think there's a huge opportunity to offer your employers equity over salary, right? So you could pay them a bit less because you don't have the budget, but the opportunity for them to say, hey, that's okay, because when this company launches off, that's going to work out for me, right? So that is a great idea, and it's just something that a lot of people are open to quite a bit as well. So I think those are essentially the top tips for hiring companies. Yeah.
That's awesome. Especially the last one. I had never actually thought of that, but it makes complete sense. And
Yeah.
yeah, it is nice like that people are kind of getting creative about what a really attractive compensation package is, and it might not be like just one thing.
Mhm.
That is awesome. So, okay, so we've talked about some challenges, we've talked about some tips, and I kind of want to obviously, give
Mhm.
you some time to turn the spotlight really on Refer
For
HR.
sure.
Kind of talk about like what is making this platform different, and then where you're going.
Right.
So we'll talk about that for a bit, and then of course at the end we discuss like how everybody can get in touch with you guys.
Yeah. Awesome. So I think what I was mentioning earlier, we want to focus on referrals and creating an incentive for everybody. So what these incentives are really is for referrers. Once you see a position and you see that it's something that your network is would be a great fit for, successful referrals actually net you 5% of that person's salary as a commission from Refer HR. So for example, if John recommends Afton to this content writing position, and you land a salary of $100,000, John actually gets a 5% cut. Not from your salary, of course, but as a bonus that Refer HR pays to John. So he makes $5,000 just for making that recommendation, right? So 5% is a chunk, right? And it's as easy as just clicking refer to a friend or sending the link to someone. So I don't think there's an easier way to make that much money just from a few clicks. And that's gonna basically essentially build out our platform itself, right? Self-sufficient, self-populated, because everybody's gonna be kind of sharing these referrals. And what the candidate also gets from it is we're actually, I believe, from what I've seen, the first company that has ever paid out the candidates just for using our platform. So we actually pay you to find a job through our platform, and you actually net in 1% of your total salary package. So same position, after you get the job from John, you get paid. You agreed on 100K salary. We actually pay you 1% of that, so you get $1,000 just for using our platform, right? So that's gonna
That is awesome too.
exactly. So I think those two things will get candidates to choose to use us as their number one platform, right? A lot of candidates, like I mentioned before, choose to use multiple different platforms wherever the best job is. But if we can create a platform where people can primarily just use this one and focus on this one and the jobs on there, clients will be able to see this and go like, hey, everybody's using this platform. They're the number one choice for a lot of people. I want to use this platform. And a lot of clients want to be the like to go give back to the community as well. And that's where these percentages come from, right? We charge our clients 10% of the successful candidate's salary as the placement fee. And from that 10%, that 5%, that 1% is what we're taking it from. So the clients know that, hey, I'm paying 10% of this person's salary, but I know that 1% or 6%, if there's a refer, is going back to the community of job seekers and referrers rather than just refer HR. We take a very small cut because we want to be able to help out the community and kind of share that with the community rather than just to benefit ourselves. So I think clients will like the idea that they're not just paying that percentage for refer HR, but they're giving back to the candidate that they're hiring, and building a better referral network as well. So I think all those things kind of contribute to why a lot of people will want to use our platform as a employer or candidate.
I think that's huge. And I just want to say, to the audience quickly, because there are a lot of marketers, a lot of business owners who watch this. And I want to call out really how that's such a good example of being driven by, service to your audience and by really wanting to offer value to them. So I think it shows that Refer HR it's not like me marketing, it's actually an investment in the people who you are asking to take the time to give your service attention, to use the service, all of those things. And so I think like if there's a takeaway from this for people, I really want you all to kind of think about that. It's like, what can we do to show our audience that we're invested in them? So I really wanted to call that out because I think it's an excellent and very clear example of how to do that.
Yeah.
Now I'd love to talk about what is next for HR. Obviously, you're a startup, but you have been around now for over a year, so kind of things are evolving. And then to end off, how everybody can reach you guys.
For sure. I think what's next for us is we've actually only launched a month and a half ago, back in March. So since then, we've kind of hired on our second employee finally, and now I have a partner to work with on the ground in Vancouver, and he's building out our marketing team. So essentially what's next for us is we're going to continue building our marketing, kind of getting it out to more employers, candidates, to say, hey, this is the new platform, let me check it out, right? And besides that, really kind of focus in on partnerships with different companies and sponsors to kind of say, hey, companies like similar to empowered incubators, like different incubators that generally work with these startups. So for them to say, hey, we work with Refer HR, you guys should check them out. And there's always opportunities for discounts and waive fees as well from us, because we really want to bring up our number of users for job seekers right now. So we're happy to kind of offer special promotions to really get this thing going, because once we get it going, word of mouth, right, referrals is going to be really drive the company. And as always, just continue helping with recruitment. I know we're primarily a job board platform, but we do have, obviously me, because I have recruited for quite a while, we do offer a premium recruitment service as well. So if clients don't have the time to make that job post or sift out through all these resumes and do the interviews, we do offer that as well. And that's something that I have experience with and can do. In terms of reaching us, with Refer HR, obviously our website, referhr.net. And at the bottom of our website, you'll be able to access all our socials like LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And we do have a plan to start, really ramping out our social media and kind of getting those post out, and these posts will include tips and tricks, quotes, job postings as well. So we really want to be able to kind of provide a wide variety of different social media content for everybody. And yeah, that's about it. And obviously, you can always get a hold of me. I'm always available, so you could actually reach me at Kobe at referhr.net, and I'll be able to get back to you. And it could be anything in regards to, from job positions that you want filled, or to even just a conversation on, hey, what should I hire, or any advice on this and that. So I'd be happy to help out the startup or job seeking or any industry, really. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Kobe. I love what you guys are doing. Can't wait to see how it continues
Hmm.
to evolve. And yeah, just really want to thank you again for joining today and kind of
Thank you.
talking through some of those things
Yeah. And thanks for having me. And I forgot to mention, Afton, she helped us with our website copywriting, and everybody that's come across it loved the type of writing that we have in, and it's a young, casual, very hip piece of writing, and there's a few jokes in there as well. So if you come across her site and you see them, take a look, because they're pretty funny. Yeah.
Well, thank you for saying that. We had a blast working on your website. It was a great project.
Awesome.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. And I'll be back next month with another Changemaker interview. Take care.
See ya.